So who wants to go first? Go.
So Dave, I noticed where you kindly changed the question mark on your shirt and exclamation mark. And I was curious what was the meaning behind that little slip.
But it's not changed. It's just a question mark. I think that was something inside you that you saw. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think you're right. Because that's a question mark. The printer maybe screwed up. It looks
You were
like thank you
willing
though.
so.
Emotions take over.
Interesting question. I didn't see that. Yeah.
Tia?
Yeah, sorry, I thought I was being called on to ask a question. I was like, I don't have a question. Yes, yeah. My brain is also turning to much.
Tia, can you talk about what was going on when Dave announced that it was ended at season 4?
Could you tell that I was a little emotional? I knew it was coming. Well, we've known for a little while, if I can say that, and we weren't sure when you guys would find out. And so recently we saw each other, and I asked Dave, and he said, "We're going to tell them in person at Celebration." And at first I thought, "Oh, you cruel man! You're going to like break their hearts like in real life, just right there." And then I thought about it later, and I thought, what a nice way to get to share that news with you in person rather than like putting out a press release and having people find out online and in this impersonal way. I thought we all get to be there to tell you together. And of course I feel like heartbroken that it's ending, but also Dave told us something similar to what he told you guys, which is that we've told the story we wanted to tell, and we've gotten to end it on our own terms in a way that we all feel really good about. And so I was just feeling a lot of feelings, and I was happy to get to be there when we told everybody.
Dave is so mysterious, we're never sure if what he tells us is true.
That's true.
Okay, hi, over here. Well, on that same token, I'm assuming vocals have probably been recorded for that final episode already, and how did that feel? Obviously not getting into spoiler territory, but for all of you, how was that process?
What can we say, Dave?
Not much. I wouldn't say much. I mean, I think that to take the pressure off you guys, the plan of the show and everything, and it's just what Star Wars should be, in my opinion, and what I've experienced is there will be episodes like we screened today that have somewhat of a somber ending, but you have to go through those things with the characters and as the characters to get to some type of conclusion of perhaps joy and feeling of victory. What is your victory without knowing the consequences on some level what defeat could be? So it's part of the narrative that we have these ups and downs, but I think always Star Wars represents, a happy thing, a thing that exhilarates people, a thing that gives you hope, a thing that makes you feel like you can attack the day better, a thing that inspires you, inspires kids. That's always been the goal that Simon and I had with this show, is to inspire all of you guys, and especially the kids in the audience. So I'm working towards, that end. It doesn't mean there won't be probably tragic things and difficult things along the way, but that's the journey of the hero and the journey of us all. So, I think it'll be a good season.
Hey Dave, Christian Hall from Collider Jedi Council. Last season you were asked, you had a definitive answer when you asked about Vader. And you said, well, we're going to scale back on Vader because of, we don't want to use him too much, we got Thrawn. Do you have a definitive answer this season about it? Are we getting more Vader or Emperor, perhaps?
Not as definitive, no.
Okay.
Not as definitive, which is probably a good thing. You get more Thrawn. So I like Thrawn. Let's go with that.
Okay. Hey guys, Lucas here.
Hey.
Good to see you all. Taylor, I gotta ask you, I feel like we haven't gotten to hear much of your perspective of Ezra's crazy amount of growth in season 3, because he really started in such a bad place at the start of season 3, and then by the end, even knowing that the Lothal thing didn't quite work out, he seemed so much more at peace and so much more resolved. tell me a little bit about where he is going into season 4, having experienced all of that.
I think he matured the most through season 3 out of all the seasons thus far. Season 2 was really him toying with the dark side and seeing what possibilities lie there. But season 3, there were also, the whole Mandalorian thing, and there was a selflessness that he's now learned, and I think that contributes to that piece that you're talking about. And as I had said at the panel that we had done, or big, whatever, that was awesome. I don't know what to call it, but it's geared him up for season 4. He's kind of in a place where he has to make a decision as to who he wants to be. But season 3 was a lot of realizing what his role was and seeing that sometimes he's gonna have to step up and burden all the responsibility that need be, and other times he's gonna sit back and Sabine will take over. And I think he's grown up a lot and matured, and that's been the fun part of playing this character, because if you look at the very first episode, he's come so far, and he's changed a lot, and it's been super cool. So season 4 is interesting because a lot of decisions are made for Ezra.
Hi, Chris from Star Wars Underworld. I feel like with previous animated projects like the Clone Wars, you guys had a lot of space to grow the show and the characters and mature over five and a half seasons. And I was wondering, with Star Wars Rebels on XD, how do you balance growing the show and growing the characters and becoming more mature with also leaving it as a good entry point for all age demographics?
It's tough, but it's Star Wars, and I think when Star Wars is successful, it's always hitting all demographics. It's been something since the very beginning that I think shocked people, because you could go watch Star Wars at the theater in '77, and whether you liked fantasy or sci-fi or not, you enjoyed it. And part of that is the humor that Harrison brings to it, the intensity that Carrie Fisher portrays, and the kind of Luke Skywalker that's in everybody. And that just resonates with people. It could have been anything in Star Wars. My father really liked it because of the music, and he was a big opera person, opera lover and symphony lover, and we related over that. It's connected at its core to the concept of family and watching it together as a family and experiencing the dynamics of the characters as family. So even though now we're in the 4th season, if you check it out, my hope is that you're engaged by the dynamics of these characters, that they make you laugh, that you worry for them. And then if you haven't seen the previous seasons, you go, oh my gosh, I better go catch up on this, and see what's going on. But you'll still hopefully enjoy it. If you watch Return of the Jedi and that's your entry point, and you wonder what these little bears about and everything else, you probably go back and watch, A New Hope. Now, that was tougher back then, because you couldn't really do that unless you had a Super 8 and you only got a cut down version of it. But, now there are ways. I always marvel at how the things that these characters talk about, you can literally drop in a DVD, and now if you saw today's episode and talk about Satine on Mandalore, Bo-Katan's sister, you can go watch that. I did it. It's there. So we live in a strange time for continuity, because it's all available. That also kind of changes the dynamic of the storyteller as well.
Season 3, what was that moment for you as an actor or for your characters?
That's tough.
Well, mine is easy because it's the same, so I'll just go with it. Trials of the Darksaber, I think, for Sabine is like a turning point, and up until that point, we had never, or she had never allowed herself to be in this vulnerable place, and certainly never allowed people that she let into her life and into her world see her in that sort of state. And so, being faced with these new challenges, before it was just like, let's fight the Empire, let's mess up the Empire, what do we have to do, let's do it, and let me do it in my artful, amazing way. But I had sort of Sabine had a laser focus on that. But she was also obviously hiding such pain and fragility so deep inside that she would have never allowed herself to display, even in front of the people closest to her in her life. And so that moment, I think, is such a turning point. And it also, it's a moment where she either has to be defensive and be sort of the way she's being initially with Ezra, and trying not to allow herself to really, really dig deep and go to where she knows she needs to go. And it's like this moment, this like sort of pivotal moment where she grows up in that moment and she knows what she has to do, and she takes control, and she faces her biggest fears, and she's willing to do it for the greater good and for the good of her families, both of her families. So yeah, Trials of the Darksaber was a moment for me and for Sabine, I think.
I'll add to that just because I think it was a beautiful moment when Hera tells Kanan, you know, that you need to trust Sabine and this isn't about you. For me, the actress, that moment meant a lot to me because it showed me just how close she is to Kanan, because it's those who love you the most that can tell you what you don't want to hear. And I think she was very supportive of his relationship with Ezra and perhaps instrumental, but I think he needed someone to say, for him to, you know, release, you know, what he needed to release in terms of trusting that he is a good teacher and so on and so forth, as he did with Ezra. Hearing that it wasn't about him, I think, was key. And for me, I understood Hera and her relationship with Kanan the most in that moment. And it meant a lot to me that she loved him enough to tell him that.
My big turning point happened in the previous season in a couple of ways, I think. For all the jokes we've made about Hot Callus, that was a very profound time in the arc of my character, just because I felt like Callus was a mirror for him. He got to look into the darkest places of himself that he hadn't previously been able to, and saw it in the face of his enemy, and had to really deal with that. And I reacted to that very personally, because I did that at 40 years old in my personal life, and to see that play out in a cartoon was a very profound moment for me. So thanks, Dave, for helping me heal.
No problem.
I'd say there were a handful of defining moments. I can think of one in season 4, but I can't say that. I don't know what would happen if I didn't.
Never work again, though, kid.
I would take it a different way and say, I think watching through season 3 how Sabine dealt with her family, it served almost as a role model for Ezra in seeing how she went back and took care of what she needed to take care of and her people, and stood up for what she believed in and did what was right in that sense. And being able to see that somewhat removed, also aiding in that whole process, I think Ezra realized what his calling was and is, and that he needs to go back to the place he's from and help out his people of Lothal. And I would say watching Sabine's trajectory through season 3 helped define part of who Ezra is and is becoming as well.
Hi guys, Gary O'Toole from the Irish Star Wars podcast, Blab of the Hull. Dave, can you talk a little bit about the mindset of Thrawn going into this? Obviously, as somebody who values logic, tactical awareness, he's come up against something that he just cannot comprehend in the sheer power of the Bendu. So has that had a profound effect on him in any way, and will we see a changed Thrawn and adapted Thrawn almost?
Thrawn in season 4 is operating from a position of victory. He, in his mind, is really set back, and he's correct, the rebel fleet with a pretty crushing blow. He's also tempered their aggressive tendency, which you see the after effects of all the way into Rogue One, where they're incredibly hesitant to actually fight on a bigger scale. It takes a lot to draw them out because they lost so big. So I think it's interesting to see the effects of Thrawn, which is what you want. You want him to be a very important character and to be a villain that's affecting everything. So he's operating from a position of having total control of Lothal now. And the rebels, in some ways, are being deconstructed. They are trying to amass all of these ships. They're trying to amass all these starfighters. And one has to start to wonder what's going to be the point of that. Are they ever going to have as much, even hardware as Thrawn to fight with, and let alone his tactical genius? The Bendu represents the Thrawn, somewhat of an enigma. He doesn't really understand it. I think he would admit as much. He doesn't really have secrets like that. But he's trying to understand it. I think it's what drives his study of art You know, he's like someone that so badly wants to understand this greater thing, and he can't, for whatever reason. He delves into the art, he tactically understands it, but his, whatever connects emotionally, passionately, perhaps what makes him a good tactician seems to not be there. So it'll be interesting to see where we go with that. But he is a very difficult villain to beat. It will seemingly take a lot to do it, which I think is very fun. He's the first kind of arch villain to survive a season. Vader came and went, he's like, I'm out the door, and which is Vader, Anakin. But Thrawn is still there, and he knows they're a threat, but boy, he really kicked their butt. So we'll see how that goes.
Hi, Wes Carroll with iHeartMedia over here.
Okay.
I assume that you guys don't normally watch each new episode with thousands of people, all crowded around rabid fans. I may be incorrect.
Well, when we watch it on TV, sort of.
Right, and they're just not in the room, right?
Well, not on a big screen, correct.
But I'd love to hear you guys sort of what that's like for you to be able to. I know as voice actors, sometimes you don't get any feedback at all, other than maybe from Dave or whoever you're working with in the immediate room. But what that's like to get that kind of feedback on that large scale with such very fierce fans.
It's the best.
Yeah, it's the best feeling ever.
The best part is that each time this has happened at Celebration, we've never gotten to see anything up until the point at which you are also seeing the same thing. So I think it's thrilling for me, for us. I'll go ahead
And it's cool because we're all making the same sounds. Like Bo-Katan, we all went,
oh, yeah.
I mean, I was screaming in the front row. I just assumed you were too.
I was older, I think, but okay, no, I loved it.
Yeah, but that's really rewarding. It makes me feel like we're family, which we are, so, yeah.
It's so weird for me because I knew it was going to happen. I saw pieces of it when I went up to see you, and yet I was still broken. At the end of it, I went back to full-on fan, full absorption mode, and I was bent and broken by it, and that's what I want to feel. I want to be that invested. So it was great to experience that with all of you guys. I felt like that's an opportunity for us to just let it all go, let everything that we know about the franchise go, and just be immersed.
And also to get to watch it in that environment with the sound and the screen and all of you, and it reminds me what a cinematic experience Rebels really is. I mean, I know that when I'm watching it on my TV and sitting on my couch, but to get to see it in this capacity is like, it's like a movie, a movie every time we watch it, which is a testament to you and all,
Yeah, bravo.
Kevin Kleiner
absolutely.
and the animators and the whole.
It's the coolest way to watch it.
Stunning, yeah, and you're like, how do we get so lucky to get to do
No
that?
idea.
I'm glad I didn't have popcorn because I would have just devoured the entire thing.
We're like thrown into the air.
Yeah, oh man.
Well, what is it like for you, David? Because for us, like, we can remember something we're fans of it, and I just wonder that.
I mean,
Sorry,
I've seen it so many times, but no.
You know what I'm saying? With everyone
It's
there.
the greatest thing. I mean, I can't even express it. You always wonder when you're writing this stuff, like, are people gonna laugh at that moment? Is that too brutal when Chopper hits that guy in the head with a gun? Oh no, they all laughed at that. Wow, that's kind of scary. And so I learned a lot about the audience, and I wish that I had more of that, honestly. Like, it really helps as a creative to hear what people react to. Anytime Kanan and Hera lean in towards each other at all, the reaction is in the room. I'm like, wow, that's kinetic. And so it's kind of fun because as an artist, you want to play with those things and play with those emotions. I mean, I felt bad that, in production, the only episode that we could air here was the one I had, which is that one. Season 4 is, underway and we're working hard on it, but I didn't have more of a positive ending. But, narratively, Sabine did a terrible thing. And we've talked about since the first season this terrible thing that you did and why you're not with your family and how you're kind of ostracized from the rest of Mandalore. Well, you're going to see the terrible thing that you did. And so what's great about our fans is that I think they get that, and they get that when we take you to that place, and we'll see how everybody deals with it from there, which is coming out the other side of the darkness. But it had to be a terrible thing you did. And the best thing you could do there is shoot it nicely, so it's beautifully terrible. And Joel and the guys, Keith, they do a great job with the animation and lighting. So, I can give them anything and they can make it, even when tragic, look beautiful.
Hi everyone, Jedi Timorka here.
Hey.
I know you've gotten a lot of questions about SWCO, so I wanted to ask about a different Clone Wars character. Captain Rex faced his past a little bit last season, so I was wondering if you could talk about his mindset heading into season 4.
Yeah, good Rex. I love that guy. He's been around the block, and this is nothing to do with season 4 as I, slightly evade you, but I've been amazed at how active so many ball cosplayers are playing him, and they just love it, and they get right into it, they shave their heads, like, people seem to love that guy. He relates. Rex is like, in a very real way, the common man, the common soldier, and I've had, people that have served in the military come up and talk about what it's meant to them, his story and the other clones and the trauma that they've gone through, and it's very real and it's helped them. So, I think for Rex, the idea for me since Clone Wars has always been that he is the good soldier. He is the one that's actually fighting, not for the, any politics of the situation, but for the people he's actually trying to protect. And his intention is good, always good, and honorable. He fights with honor. There's no waste there. There's no cruelty there. He's a good person and a proud warrior. So I think you see that starting to follow because he's part of this rebellion now. He's actually probably, for the first time, if you think about it, fighting for something he actually believes in, not something he's programmed to believe in. He believed in a republic, but that republic didn't exist. The republic, because of Palpatine, was a lie, and he was created through deception, but he's empowered himself, and now he can become something greater because he's an individual making choices because he believes in something. And so I know Dee and I talk about this at length, and he's in season 4, thankfully, and we'll see where he goes in that season.
Hey guys, Eric Coleman from IGN.
Hey.
Had to ask, Vanessa, a question for you, also somewhat for Dave. We've been wondering about where these characters would end up since the show began. Where are they during the original trilogy? Rogue One gave us an answer for Chopper and for Hera. So first of all, two-part question, which is, what did you think about the promotion, General Syndulla? And then for you and for Dave, see how much you will reveal. Should we assume that, we might get to see that promotion before the end of the show? How much do you want to connect exactly to what we know about this one character?
I was elated. I couldn't feel my legs. I think my mind exploded, for the millionth time since being a part of this project. That it was like a life insurance policy. I was so grateful to hear that she exists. And I said the other night in the Galactic Knights show that I like to believe that they were paging her because she was already warming up the ghost to go to Scarif, and they didn't need to even ask her. She was ready to go get it done. So that's my little fantasy. I have no idea if that's true. But anyway, I was elated. So.
Yeah, I always thought you were in a debriefing with Jim because you'd be like, listen to this woman, she knows what she's talking about. This is a terrible situation.
Let's go.
She should be going against
I'm out.
plans. Like, you would grab her in the go. So I think that you were probably irritated because you knew what Jim wanted to do and you knew the council wasn't going to listen to her. So you weren't at the briefing and you get called in and Mom Moss was like, okay, calm down.
Yeah.
And Hera's like, here we go again with this. But yeah, the promotion is cool. I mean, right? She should be a general. I mean, she's really good. She has the experience. Those kind of things I tend to play with the ideas I saw in the movie. Lando becomes a general. I wouldn't expect a big fanfare thing about it. For me, he talks about the Battle of Tanab, and you kind of go, that must have been cool, and somebody else can tell that story. I love that stuff about Star Wars and the way George wrote it. I love that there's always a feeling of a bigger thing. So, and I'm pretty adamant that, it's not something to me I'd do a whole episode on necessarily. But we will see her, I guess, I'll give you this one, Goldman. She'll be a general before the end of the season, let's put it that way. you know, which I think is cool. And I don't know much more to say about it. Hera's a really fun character, and one of the reasons why originally I was going to have the narration of the trailer be Kanan, because the Jedi always seem to drive the story, but then I realized that was completely wrong, and it should be Hera as the mom, as the matriarch, as this powerful woman who's put this all in play from the beginning. The Rebels are her architecture, it's her framework. And if anyone's going to have the perspective on what they're all going through to the end, it's her. And so she really bookends that trailer, because in her own way, she has used the Force to draw them all together. Her force of will, her force of commitment, her bravery. So that's, and I really like that about Hera and Vanessa.
And she's read all our diaries too, so.
Yeah, she knows chocolate spies on it.
I'm ready to, this is where I have to step in and say we have to finish here.
Aw.
I know.
Oh, Tracy, no, I can't evade more.
You guys But I'd like to thank you guys for supporting us this whole time. We really appreciate it. I hope you know that that's honest and true. And thank you.
Thank you, guys.